We did it, people. Week 1 of the NFL season is here, which means that we have to start making some difficult start-sit decisions. I'm going to give you 4 quarterbacks that I'm confident in starting and 2 that I might consider sitting here in week 1. Now, please be aware that in your standard 12-man league, if you only have one quarterback, then whoever you drafted to be a quarterback, that's who you're starting. But maybe you're streaming the position or you're in a super flex league. Regardless, I'm going to give you some players that I'm confident in and not confident in here in week 1. Let's start with the guys that I'm confident in starting. Firstly, Trey Lance versus the Chicago Bears. Last year, the Bears were relatively middle of the pack against quarterbacks in fantasy as far as how many points they gave up to the position. But this year they went completely into the rebuild mode as they traded Khalil Mack, their star edge rusher, to the Chargers for a 2nd and a 6th round pick. This Bears team is so bad that they could legitimately be in contention for a top 3 pick in 2023. Now, a lot of that depends on the play of Justin Fields, but as far as a team on paper, they're not a very good team. And I think they want a high draft pick in 2023 to build around Fields. Anyway, meanwhile, the Trey Lance era begins in San Francisco. I personally am not worried about Jimmy G. I know there are some people out there who are, but rushing upside is key here for fantasy football. Jalen Hurts was great on a weekly basis last year, even though he wasn't a very good real NFL quarterback analytically, okay? But last year, in his 2 starts, Trey Lance averaged 12 rushing attempts a game. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the weeks that he played. Week 4, in 1/2 versus the Seattle Seahawks, he scored over 24 fantasy points. That's in a 6-point touchdown scoring format. Week 5 versus Arizona, 16 rushing attempts on the ground. That presents such a safe floor on a weekly basis. Week 17, he got the start versus Houston. He was quarterback 10 on the week, and he scored over 24 points again. Even in a 1 quarterback format, I personally am starting Trey Lance. I'm doing it in one of my home leagues. I'm starting him based on his rushing upside alone. And to me, it's really hard to see Trey Lance failing. I understand that he might struggle, but versus a bad team like Chicago, if they really come out there and just fall flat on their face, I would be surprised. You have so many good weapons around him in Debo, Kittle, Ayuk. You got Trent Williams who's going to be there who wasn't there in preseason. So to me, I'm confident in starting Trey Lance. The second quarterback that I think you can confidently start in a super flex or a streaming scenario is Jameis Winston versus the Atlanta Falcons. Last year, he had 6 healthy games. 2 of those games, he put up over 34 fantasy points, and only 1 of those games did he fail to score at least 15. He was on track last year to throw 34 touchdowns with Marquez Callaway as his wide receiver 1. Now you have a wide receiver core in New Orleans that consists of Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, Alvin Kamara. This offense should be much, much better. And you get to face an Atlanta Falcons team who, just like the Bears, are competing for a top 3 pick in the 2023 draft. They gave up the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks in 2021. So to me, again, super flex, 2 quarterback league, or if you're streaming the position, Jameis should be considered in week 1. The third quarterback on this list, and maybe the one that I'm the most confident in week 1, the safest floor, is Kirk Cousins. All right. In 2021, Cousins was a top 12 fantasy quarterback in 9 of his 16 starts. He was top 10 in 8 of those 16 starts and top 6 in 4 of those 16 starts. He played Green Bay in week 11. Don't forget, he didn't play the other one because of, I believe, COVID. Sean Mannion, if I'm not mistaken. But in that week 11 performance versus Green Bay, he scored over 30 fantasy points, put up 341 passing yards, and 3 tutties. Now you get Kevin O'Connell, former Rams offensive coordinator, in this team, and apparently we all anticipate it to be much more pass happy, pass friendly. You got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, and Irv Smith all healthy for the first time in a very, very long time. Kirk Cousins should absolutely be considered a top 12 option here in week 1, meaning in a standard 12-man league, he should be started by someone. The last streaming quarterback or Superflex 2 quarterback league guy that I feel confident that you can start this week in week 1 is Derek Carr. He is facing the Los Angeles Chargers. Carr is coming off a really, really good 2021 season where he put up the 6th most passing attempts and yards per game in the NFL. Last year when he faced the Chargers, twice he faced them, and he put up at least 18 fantasy points and 2 touchdowns in both of those games. Now you obviously enter Davante Adams. You got Darren Waller back healthy. Hunter Renfrow is in the slot. He presents one of the safest quarterback twos or super flex quarterback plays the NFL has right now in fantasy. So he should be started. We could see Derek Carr have an incredible year this year with Davante Adams in the wide receiver room. Now, I'm going to give you 2 sits. Please keep in mind that if you're in a 1 quarterback league, I understand that nobody's starting these guys anyway. But if you're in a dynasty league and you know your super flex or 2 quarterback or redraft super flex league, don't start these guys. There's better options out there. Number 1, Matt Ryan. He is in the category for me of very good for his team, not necessarily great for fantasy here in week 1. They face the Houston Texans. So in theory, I think that this game should be in hand early on, which could lead to a more run-focused time of possession game plan for Indy. And then you look at Mac Jones, who I also think that you guys should sit. Going up against Miami, there are stars at almost every position. That Miami team on paper is very, very good. It will ride or die on Tua, but defensively, they're a very, very good team, and they should be able to pressure Mac Jones off of the edge. There's just not enough star power on this team. I like that Devontae Parker is there. I think he's a value in drafts, but I just don't think there's enough star power for Mac Jones to be a reliable fantasy option. And here in week 1 versus Miami, I would prefer to sit him. I personally think that this Patriots offense could be much worse than a lot of people anticipate this year. So I don't have many Patriots in general, but here in week 1, I'd like to sit Mac Jones. So why don't you tell me in the comments below if you think I missed the mark on one of these calls, a start or a sit. Tell me a quarterback that you're confident in starting, a guy that you might want to stream, or if you have any questions, comment down below. We might be able to help. And please note that we will be live your Saturday nights to answer start sit questions on this channel. So subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you then.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLand fam.